Some other of the questions that have come in here, they're asking, okay, so if my husband is in or my wife is in stage 2, where they're vilifying me, all these things, and because of their feelings towards me in this stage, they start the divorce proceedings, then what is it that I can do? You mentioned getting an attorney, fighting for myself, but is there anything else to focus on at that time?
I typically suggest that you drag it out. Because the longer you go, the better chance you get toward the end of limerence. But in the process of dragging it out, do the things you need to do. Like we heard one lady say, oh, that his attorney keeps asking for this, but I won't give it because Dr. Beam said drag it out. Well, if it's subpoenaed by the courts or asked for, dragging it out is not violating those kinds of things. You don't want to tick the judge off at you. That's not going to do you any good. Don't do things just to aggravate the other person thinking that's going to drag it out. It just means you don't have to jump every time the other person wants you to jump. You can take your time to think things through, and do things the way that are in the best benefit for you, and drag out in that sense. Not in the sense of just ticking off everybody else involved. That's typically not a good thing. But they may actually wind up divorcing you. Now, I know you don't want to hear that, and nobody wants that to happen, but if anyone listening knows my history, and when I was in phase 2 is when I divorced my wife, Alice. Then the limerence ended, because it always does. For me, thank God, it ended before I wound up marrying the other person, and therefore I was still single. But I had so vilified Alice, I didn't come right back to her. As a matter of fact, I thought being alone still better than being with Alice, because now I'm living a lifestyle like I'd never lived before. I'm going to nightclubs, I'm drinking, I'm doing a bunch of stuff like that, which I found myself enamored of for a while. Basically, it was a way to cover my pain, but I didn't understand that, you see. But when I finally came to my senses, as it were, Alice had done all these things. Now, nobody taught Alice to do it. She just did it instinctively. She'd been strong and powerful. Her attorney stood up to me, all those kinds of things. She'd always been kind and gentle. Now, early on, she did the wrong things, like almost everybody does. But after that, she was pretty strong and even, so that eventually, when I came to my senses, it's when I called Alice and asked if she would consider the possibility of taking me back. What I mean by that is, we have couples come through our workshop often who already are divorced. And they're coming to see if they can put it back together and to marry each other again. One couple had been divorced for 10 years. Another couple recently was, 8 or 9 years. So even if they wind up divorcing you when they're up here, it doesn't mean it's necessarily over unless you choose for it to be. At any point, you can decide, I'm done. I'm going to move on with my life. And you have the right to do that. And I don't suggest you spend the next 10 years waiting for him to come back. That's not my suggestion at all. There is a point when sometimes you just accept what is, and you move on with your life. But even then, if you have learned and followed the principles that we teach, even if this relationship doesn't come back, and we truly hope this one does. We're all about restoring marriages and making marriages stronger. We're not about trying to marry you off to somebody else. We really aren't. But if you do all these right things, if, God forbid, it doesn't work, and eventually your spouse winds up marrying another person, you now know so much more about relationships, about how to make wonderful relationships, that's going to attract somebody really good into your life where you can have a good future with him or her. Now, again, that's not our goal for you, but it's a secondary benefit if this other person just never comes to his or her senses. We hope and pray they do. And our system is designed to help you get them to where they do.